The way that becoming charismatic and charisma is so much presented to us with the advice that's online is as though it's this thing that you do. It's this active thing that you are doing, that when you go into social situations, you're mapping out your actions. You're thinking about what you're going to say and what you're going to do next for the best effect. And the more that I have spent time studying and practicing being charismatic myself, the more that I have found the opposite of this to be true. Charisma is not something that you do. It is a state of being that you inhabit. What I have found, and what I think is true, is that it's actually easier to be charismatic than it is to be shy. Because all charisma is authentic self-expression. It is where your personality is completely disinhibited. There's no bars held, there's no walls put up, or you're not wearing any masks. You are the person that you really are, and that's the person you're acting as. And when you're charismatic, when you inhabit this state of charisma, you are not premeditating your actions. You're not premeditating the words that you're gonna say, thinking about if you should say this joke or that, or say this line, or if that person took this thing you said the right way, or if the way you're standing looks stiff or if it looks relaxed. Words are just rolling off of your tongue. You're just kind of doing things, just kind of rolling with the punches of the social situation. It's not something you consciously think about. There are some of you who are watching this who you may have been in this state before and not known it. Or you may have never been in this state at all before. But what I'm going to tell you from experience of somebody who has been in this state versus having been in a socially anxious state, it is easier, it is less pressure to be charismatic than it is to be socially anxious. And that seems so very backward, because the way that, again, charisma is presented to us online is if it's like this thing you do, it's this thing that takes effort to do, but it's not. See, all this advice online that you see telling you all of these charisma techniques, they don't work. They might work to some degree, but that's only after you become a charismatic person and you're increasing your social skill level. They don't work for somebody that's socially anxious, that has an inhibited personality, because they treat the symptom to the disease. It's looking at the surface level issue. Like, your specific actions aren't the problem. It's the motivations behind those actions. It's where in your heart those actions are motivated from. When you're a charismatic person, it doesn't really matter what you do. It will come across as charismatic anyways, because if you're doing it, then it's going to be charismatic because you are a charismatic person. And it seems like I'm kind of talking bullshit here. Real charismatic people don't follow this imaginary social script that socially anxious people have. I used to have it when I used to be socially anxious. I used to have this social script I thought I had to follow, that, people were expecting me to act a certain specific way, and if I didn't, I would be considered weird or cringe or something like that. But real charismatic people, it doesn't really matter what they do, because we can look at two very different people that we would both call charismatic, but that act in completely different ways. Comedian Shane Gillis and the actor Brad Pitt. You could say both of these people are very charismatic, but when you look at their specific actions, they act in completely different ways from one another. The reason we can consider them charismatic, even though their actions differ by a long shot, is because it's a full level of self-expression. They have a disinhibited personality. They are fully expressing their authentic self through their actions. So it doesn't really matter what they do, as long as what they're doing is motivated by a place of authenticity and by sharing their real self to other people. And that adds on to the reason why these techniques don't work. It's because they imitate real charisma, but they in themselves are not really charismatic. And because the people doing them are not really charismatic, but are in themselves socially anxious, when they try to do charismatic techniques, they come across as inauthentic. They come across as tryhards, because this is not really who they are. They're trying to be someone that they're not. They're cooking up their actions for effect, and that makes them the opposite of charismatic. charisma is all about full self-expression. It's really, at the end of the day, the deeper issue is that it's a journey of self-acceptance. For a long time, growing up, I looked at certain people in my life and I always questioned deeply what it was that I found so attractive about them. Because it's a tangible, like when someone is charismatic, when you find someone attractive, it's a tangible, like flavor almost. When you're around this person, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'm the only one that's experienced it and I'm a weirdo, but if you've experienced it too, then you know this is like it's a very unmistakable feeling when you know someone is charismatic. When you find them charismatic, you find them attractive. And I used to question for the longest time what this was. What was this flavor that I was kind of tasting through my I don't know, sixth sense about these people? And I think what it was their level of self-acceptance and their full expression of that in social interactions. That their actions weren't cooked up for effect, they were not premeditated, they weren't thought out. They just happened, and they rolled with the punches of the social interaction. And they were charismatic because they expressed their true self to me. And so at the end of the day, what I've really found charisma to be through all of this is a journey that I've had of becoming more socially skilled, becoming more charismatic. Charisma is really it's a journey. It's a journey of self-acceptance. It's a journey of finding yourself. It's a journey of placing your sense of self-worth into things that are outside of people's control, into what God thinks of you, and really learning to find the person that you are. Anyways, I appreciate you all listening to my little yap session. If you did listen, if you like this kind of content, you want to see more like it in the future, I've got more coming, so make sure to subscribe. Leave a little nice comment down below for me as well. It kind of helps to boost the video in the algorithm. And as always, shut out the noise, do the work. Mwah.